It's the end of the fourth week now. It's been tough, but it's been good. We've been working now on web apps, and that means we've been bringing together all of the stuff that we've learned and actually getting that onto the web. We'd worked previously with test-driven development, databases, and now using Sinatra, we've got web routing so that you can actually go to different pages, interact with information from the user. And I'll show you in a bit how that's worked out for us, what kind of challenges we've worked on. Where I feel that this has been particularly interesting is that we've worked from the ground up. So previously you'd be given a kind of a test-driven situation where you've been given all of the information and you're just testing to see whether or not those things work. But now we've been just given user stories and told, okay, here's the situation, here's the problems that the client has. Can you design the architecture for this problem? And then can you test drive your database and your classes and then actually get that on the web and see how that works out? Can you test that your routing works? So quite a major overhaul, considering that 4 weeks ago we were messing around in the command line with Ruby. This week's workshop was really sought after by the group. We were looking at debugging a web app. Now that we've brought together so many different items, when you get an error message, you start to ask yourself, well, what has caused this problem? There's so many different places it could come from. So it was really nice to work through with the coach and really draw out where things happen along different stages of the journey. They mapped out for us what is actually happening at each stage. And then we role played a few ideas to think, if this problem happens, where along this route would you start to look first to solve the problem? Because that's where we've struggled most. It is otherwise it's been like finding a needle in a haystack. So it was invaluable to help us move forward. So it's worth mentioning that each week we do have a cohort retro. So where this came in is that we all work as a group and we work on different platforms. So there was Easy Retro that we worked from, us discussing what went well, what could we improve on, did we improve on things that we set out to achieve last week, and also appreciations to other people in the group. So each week we get a challenge to work on to see, can we bring together all of the learning we've done during the week? Can we actually pull that in and produce something from scratch? This week was the Chitter challenge. So I'll show you the README file for this one. So when you look through this, you'll notice it's trying to replicate Twitter. We're trying to see, can we produce the same functionality that a website like this will have? So I'm actually recording this at a point where I've just about, I believe, managed to finish to a reasonable place the starter setup of the problem. I will crack on with this after this recording and see, can I take this into a more advanced setting? So I do want to stress how useful it's been being part of a cohort, having other people that are going through the same stresses as you are. I've worked on online courses in the past, and that was one of the kind of main problems I found there, is that when I came across something, nobody else was experiencing the same problem at the same time. And it was great to bounce ideas off of other people to really help you move forward. That's been invaluable to me this week. If you think you've been staring at a problem for 20 minutes, an hour, or more, I hate to admit, but 5 minutes from somebody else interjecting, they haven't looked at it in the same way as you have. And it's amazing how quickly they can spot these things, okay, that you couldn't possibly on your own. So that's been great. Next week, we will start working on our first group challenge. So this is new to us. You can see the build-up has been coming. We've got a grounding through testing, through learning how to work with Ruby, databases, working on the web, intermingled with that, working on small workshops on empathy, working with teammates, feedback in groups, having meetings in the morning to discuss issues that we're having and how we might help each other to move forward. You can see how all these building blocks are going to start helping us out next week. So I'm both excited and a little bit nervous about that. I think we're going to be working on, so I've just peeped ahead to the syllabus. It's called Makers B&B. So obviously I feel like that where we're going to try and potentially build an Airbnb structure together. But it'd be good to report back next week to see how that went, how we managed to work as a group, and what ideas we picked up from the Makers course.